Well, I'm certainly glad I waited on making this video until I wasn't triggered anymore, could find the highest perspective, because as a black man in America, I'm expected to believe that these folks right here waited to the most openly fascist and white supremacist enabling administration to spontaneously hang themselves in public with no flock cameras catching a single incident. By the way, there's a ninth victim here, and I'm going to get to him at the end of the video to tie this all up, so stick with me. All of these victims' deaths were automatically ruled suicides while their families demanded an investigation, which means it's not just dead folks, these are dead investigations that the system killed. We know good and darn well that these systems also house racialized police gangs within their forces. And since multiple psychological studies have shown that racists are mentally unwell and experience hell-like states when those they hate are happy, black folks, we have to ask ourselves this question. Can you love yourself into healing around someone who cannot stop hating themselves until they harm you? Keep that question in mind, because while I was making this video, a very close friend of mine was getting out of a domestic violence situation. Being privy to some of the arguments that she has had with her partner, it sounded a lot like the arguments that black folks and white folks have against each other on online spaces. The abusive dynamic involves gaslighting and irreconcilable differences on a massive scale. Woman I know tried multiple attempts to get away from her domestically violent partner until finally she was able to do so. And it wasn't about what they shared in common, it was about her own personal safety, regardless of what they built and invested together. What's interesting about abusive dynamics is that there are seldomly completely irredeemable abusers and seldomly completely perfect victims. This dynamic is what lands a lot of couples in therapy. So imagine black folks and white folks are in a relationship that has been abusive, and they go to a therapist, and all of a sudden the therapist shows up dead. Turns out that therapist was Dr. King. Like, imagine it looked like somebody else killed the therapist, and turns out all along it was the husband. That's black folks' relationship with the American government, which is turning a blind eye to these brand new hangings. I have heard folks rationally and logically say, we have to arm ourselves against these folks. And my retort to that is, if you have to arm yourselves against your neighbors, it is a confession of societal breakdown. It's not a long-term strategy to make sure that your children thrive. And if you care about this nation healing, maybe you can help me answer this question. How do we as black people know the difference between us regaining ground in a racial sense and a disease of racism simply going dormant until it flares up again a few decades later? How do we know the difference? One of the greatest mindfucks as a black person has been watching us try to explain to folks who have class commonality with us why they should not fall for racial divide and conquer, and them consistently hurting themselves to harm us regardless of how far that harm goes. Can we love ourselves into healing around folks who hate themselves until they harm us? For my friend who finally got free of her abuser, the answer is no. You can't. He hates himself, he's got shit to deal with, and she can't be a part of his healing any longer. So what do we as black folks do about it? Well, here I introduced the ninth victim, a brother who did not get any airtime whatsoever. He is not black American. He's from the Congo. He was found hanging this June. If white supremacist violence isn't making any distinction between our origins as black folks, why are we? Why? He is one of many black immigrants from either Africa or the Caribbean or sometimes Latin America who have suffered racist violence at the hands of American white supremacists. White supremacy is a global phenomenon. The fact that we're not uniting globally as a people under this phenomenon is something that is just a stupid lesson we shouldn't have to learn again. It's right there. It's unity. The Confederacy was never punished fully, and here we are. Until this country gains the power to do to the Confederate sympathizers what was done to the Nazis, which is put their knee in their back, rip their racism out of their hands, and deprogram them with the same media that programmed them, this will never get done. Folks need to be punished to the full extent of the law. That's what needs to be done, and black folks in this country cannot do it alone. Perhaps we can do something on a global scale if we unite with our brothers and sisters across the waters, but until you see them as one, prepare for these divide and conquer tactics to be more successful than they have ever been. Thank you very much. I'm Theo E.J. Wilson. Like, follow, and share this video out if you need to expand this conversation with clear eyes and a sober mind. Peace.